It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil, Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout. My takes on all things considerable. If you know me, you know the inside joke there. This is a talk show. This is a micro talk show that we subtitled WDAAAT. What does an Asian American think? Because no one ever asks. And what does an Asian American think? You got to think, oh, there's got to be some Asians who are upset with this Madison Square Garden party of hate. And in fact, there are. I'm upset. I mean, you had to see the whole thing, and I saw parts and bits, but the parts and bits that you see on the news are important. They're real, they're disgusting, they're vile, and people are saying today, hey, this is happening to what's happening to our politics. I mean, we've gone coarse and coarser. And I have to admit that I used to be one of those who said, yeah, let's get it all in there. Let's get in the mud. Let's get dirty. Let's get, it's free speech, right? It's the First Amendment. But this is when you had conservatives running, and the radicals were considered, those, people with a left-leaning viewpoint who wanted to cause revolution. Now the revolutionaries are right-wing, are those who are upsetting the apple cart. The political apple cart are right-wingers, who are saying these things. And the F word is not the standard F word. The F word is fascism, and it seems like it's okay. I mean, that's the real crazy thing. We're not rejecting fascism. What is wrong with this picture, right? So we'll talk about that, the Madison Square Garden party, because wherever you were, you had to see it, and I knew it was coming. I saw people talking about it online in terms of, we're preparing for it. Donald Trump doesn't want to give, hard interviews with tough reporters. He doesn't want to debate, but he wants to have these garden parties of hate. This is what the Republican nominee wants to do. Show off his hate, which Republicans and Democrats alike, as we go into the final 8 days. I mean, it's crazy. I was traveling, and I will talk about that. What I discovered. I discovered that no one wants to talk about the election. No one wants to talk about the federal election. They'll talk about, the local guys all you want, if you happen to know about them, if you're just dropping in. But I didn't know about the local guys, so I didn't talk about any of that. But I was surprised that when it came to Harris and Trump, very few people wanted to talk about that. But that was really typical of how it's been wherever I go. No one is enthusiastic. No one likes it, but they have an opinion, and they're going to keep it to themselves. That's what I find, including people who purport to love you or to have a love interest in you because of, relations, blood relations or whatever. You get to talking about politics, and it gets ugly fast, and then you have to come back and say, well, we're going to get over this. You got to have this biblical sense of this too shall pass. And I wonder how many of us are going to be faced with that, because I had a this too shall pass kind of event this weekend when like I said, I was traveling. I'll tell you about my flight, terrible flight, Southwest. Oh my God, what happened to Southwest? They used to be good. And now Southwest is like, they are really like the Greyhound, the new Greyhound. Actually, they are Spirit Airlines on its best day. That's what it's getting to be like. It's and all the airlines are pretty bad. Delta has had some bad things happen. So People who just like, they just are, they say, praise Delta. They love Delta. Even they have said, oh, there's some bad things that have happened there. United, United has really hit the skids. American, I don't know. I like Alaska. I'm an Alaska fan, but because you can get a nonstop, and if you get one of those, then you don't have any bag problems. They're generally good, but terrible, terrible experience with Southwest again. Delayed up to 4 hours. We were supposed to leave at 9 something, and we got in. We left at about 1 something. So that's almost 4 hours. Got into the destination really late in the morning, and I got to call Pete Buttigieg, right? I got to call the Department of Transit. I mean, this is anyway. That was my weekend. Coming up, I like to switch to a little. It's not really a commercial; it's a self plug. But November 4th, I'll be at the Marsh in San Francisco, 1062 Valencia Street. Go get your tickets at themarsh.com/Monday Night Marsh. It's a special thing they do at the Marsh, and all the proceeds go to the Marsh, which is a great thing because they allow artists like me to go and talk about their latest versions of their stories. My poetic journalism happening at the Marsh on Monday night, November 4th. So that's a week from today. Oh, what will Emil say a week from today? And then he comes back on November 18th. Oh my God. I've got to see both shows. Yeah, you can. Go to Monday Night Marsh. Let's see. I'll give you these. Oh, it says there on the screen, right? Monday Night Marsh. The Monday Night Marsh. Oh, no. Go to themarsh.org/Monday-Night-Marsh-Stream. I know you're going to remember that. I know you are because this weekend I realized I have to love everyone. I love everyone. I even love the Orange Man. Not that much, but enough. We have to love everyone. The golden rule. I'd like to see him fall flat in his face, but I love everyone. I love everyone. So on election eve, November 4th, I do the show. It's called Trans Dad. No explanation here. Am I? You'll have to see the story. I tell the story, and it's a part or an excerpt of the show that I did in New York and Orlando. Emil, Amok, Lost NPR host, wily Filipino vegan trans dad. Someone said, too many stories here. Too many stories, Emil. Too many stories. And so I'm like simplifying it. So the trans dad part I'm going to do. November 4th at the Marsh in San Francisco, 1062 Valencia, where I grew up. I grew up around the Marsh. They're on a long time ago. And you know what? It was better a long time ago. It was. Now, there's more restaurants now. But 1062 Valencia Street in San Francisco, that's between 22nd and 21st, or 22nd and Liberty. I'm going to be sharing the stage. 2 other acts before me are around at the same time. 7 o'clock is the showtime. Tickets you get at themarsh.org/Monday-Night-Marsh-Stream. So the whole process is called the Monday Night Marsh. And the thing that I like about the Monday Night Marsh, all proceeds go to the Marsh because they're giving us the space. They're letting us do our thing. Goodie for the Marsh. Check them out. Sliding scale. So no one will be refused. No one. I don't. And if you're a relative, come on by. If you know my relatives, tell them to come on by. It's an election special. an election eve special, November 4th. And I'll tell you my Kamala Harris story, as well as my trans dad story. And then we'll see what happens on November 18th. You'll have to come back on November 18th to get my analysis of what happened on November 5th. It's perfect. It's Emil Amok's monologues. Check them out. Trans Dad at the Monday Night March. So please, November 4th and 18th, 1062 Valencia Street. Go to the website, get your tickets. Yes, you'll like it. It's a storytelling event. It's funny. I mean, not like stand-up funny. Oh, you might laugh stand-up funny wise, but that's the difference between stand-up, where you're really on a metronome. Laugh, 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 tag, tag, laugh, laugh. It's a metronome. And rather than storytelling, which is the narrative flow, it's the narrative flow, the hero's journey. Oh, who's the hero? Emil's the hero. What a story. Solving the problem at the end, tying up everything. Oh, what a satisfying 20 minutes. So check it out, please. And you get me, and there's two other storytellers, acts there. 1062 Valencia Street in San Francisco. The Marsh, Monday Night Marsh. Monday night, November 4th and November 18th in San Francisco. Me, Emil Amok, Emil Guillermo. Monday Night Marsh. Okay, so topic A, everyone seems to want to talk about this. I was surprised. I did not go to Madison Square Garden. I knew about it. I knew that they were going to do this, and people were saying, Trump doesn't want to debate. He doesn't want to do interviews. He's going to do this thing. And why? Because people are going to be talking about it. But I think it's backfired somewhat, because people are talking about not what Trump said, which is pretty much what Trump has always said the last couple of weeks, which is, I'm going after the enemy within, right? That's a scary thing. Going after it's not immigrants. Oh, the immigrants are the enemies, all the criminal immigrants. But the enemy within are people in the media who speak ill of the enemy in the White House, the enemy of democracy in the White House. That's not a good thing. So what Trump did was assemble all his minions. I mean, he went up there and talked, and I think Melania talked. I mean, did you see clips? I saw clips of Trump and Melania air kissing each other. You're married to each other. You share a child that you brought into the world, and the best you can do is like air kiss your trophy wife or your trophy husband. I guess Donald Trump to Melania. Donald Trump must be the trophy husband. So you're air kissing them, and what the heck? I don't know. Is that modern love? Anyway, they seemed like they get along for the purposes of democracy, or their version of democracy, but it of course it was the people beforehand, people like Tony Hinchcliffe and Greg Cardone, and who's a business guru, and people like was it Sid Rosenberg or Sid Rosenblum? I know, one of the radio guy in New York. Bunch of radio guys in New York. I think they were WABC guys, and then Vivek Ramaswamy was even up there. I mean, he wasn't one of the funnier ones, but he's just funny in his ideas and his attitude. But he wasn't funny joke-wise. Tony Hinchcliffe is the guy that everyone seems to have quoted. And here's the thing about Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe is a comedian. And as a comedian myself, I believe in the First Amendment right of a comedian to say a joke that is somewhat risque. Now, a joke that is not funny, he's involved in he had a thing where he said, oh, that didn't go, or, he's relating to the audience, and the audience was sort of meek in its response to the joke. There was some laughs, not really a whole lot. I mean, it's Madison Square Garden, and he has sold out Madison Square Garden with his own show, The Kill Tony Show, which has become the new Tonight Show of sorts. It's the gatekeeper show that young comics want to be on and then get his blessing so they can have a career on the road. I mean, that's the truth. Tony Hinchcliffe is a kind of kingmaker when it comes to young comics who are doing the open mics and want a leg up. Hey, Tony on Kill Tony said, I was good. I killed him. So he was supposed to be funny, but he's a roaster. He was on the Tom Brady roast. But his joke about Puerto Rico was not funny. I mean, it was funny in a club setting. He said, oh, there's a bunch of garbage out in the middle of the ocean. It's called Puerto Rico. Kind of funny in the right context. But here's the thing. In a political context, not funny, but really explosive. Because words matter. It's not, it can't just be funny or not funny. It has to be, is it politically relevant, or is it insightful, or is it just offensive? And then you got to cop to it. And it's not the joker who is responsible. It's the guy holding the party, the headliner, Donald Trump. So when Tony Hinchcliffe is the guy that everyone quotes in the first paragraph of all stories telling a joke about Puerto Rico, I'd say this backfired. I'd say this backfired on Donald Trump because Tony Hinchcliffe wasn't even the only guy, right? There are all these other guys out there speaking. By the way, the most offensive to me might have been Tucker Carlson, who talked about Kamala Harris like, oh, Kamala Harris, what is she, Samoan, Malaysian? I guess if you can misidentify or if you can mispronounce Kamala Harris's first name and continue to call her Kamala, then you can misidentify her by saying she's a Samoan Malay. She's not Samoan. She's not Malaysian. She's not Southeast Asian. She's not Pacific Islander, which is what a Samoan is. She's a South Asian. And once again, we have a strange ignorance when it comes to Asian Americans and our ethnic geography. And it's not really helped at all by Harris's. She doesn't really want to embrace race, immediately. She's like Obama. Hey, look, it's obvious, right? I'm not white. You get that, right? Okay. And you see I'm black, right? Okay. But you see I'm something else, right? Okay. And that's as far as she wants to go with that. I mean, she'll go deeper. She'll talk about her mother, but you bring up race and she doesn't want to get into that. I always have had a slight disagreement with her about that because I think you should talk about it all the time. Talk about mom. And certainly she knows when to bring it up, when it's to her advantage. And she did when it came to, the DNC, bringing up mom. Mom's like, it's the Derringer in the hip pocket. You bring it out when you need it, and there it is. But she doesn't usually like to talk about it. But what happens is other people want to talk about it. And they want to confront her with it. Trump did it, saying, oh, I don't know, she's black, she's Indian. I didn't know she was Indian. We knew she was Indian. We didn't know she was black. Or we didn't know she was Indian. Most people knew she was black. That was what was the NABJ thing. Most people knew her as black. But now we have Tucker Carlson, who is a news guy, Fox, former news guy, now just retired millionaire, who should know better. He knows she's not Samoan. I mean, Samoans are like they're big people. She's like 5'2". He called her Samoan Malaysian, California prosecutor. Malaysian. She's not Malaysian. Oh my God. Her mother was from India. She's Indian. Her father, Jamaican. She's Jamaican, Indian Asian, or Asian Indian, American, however you want to say it. But if you bring up a race, let's tease it out and say what it is. But of course, he was doing it to tell a joke. Ha ha ha. Do we have a right to reject that as laughter and say, look, there's a time and a place. You do it in a place like Madison Square Garden at a political rally. If we choose not to laugh, it's because number one, it's not funny, or number two, it's not accurate. And doesn't really matter if it's accurate or not. It's funny. Well, it's all right. It's not funny. But then if you're a comedian, and it's questionable with Tucker Carlson, it becomes a matter of you subject yourself to debate. You've got free speech. You put it out there as free speech. Hey, here's the beauty about free speech. Not less speech, but more. Here comes speech coming back at you. To say, why did you say that? Do you think that's funny? Are you offending Malaysian and Samoan people? Or to Hinchcliffe, are you offending the Puerto Ricans, calling their homeland garbage? I mean, that was a thing that no one who put on this event figured out. Like I said, they had a right to say whatever they want. First Amendment, right? Tony Hinchcliffe. Someone called Vice President Harris. They said she had a pimp, what? That means she's a prostitute, right? Okay, so there was that reference. Another person referred to Hillary Clinton as the B word. I mean, there was a lot of things like that in normal politics, because at a political rally, political observers are watching, political reporters are watching. This does not happen at a normal political event. But increasingly, under Donald Trump, you will find that. And it's disgusting. Because what is the ultimate takeaway? Vile, vulgar, disgusting hate. That's Donald Trump. And these people speaking it were his minions. So, you blame the minions, but not blame the enabler, Donald Trump? Donald Trump is a person who enables these guys, and most of them were guys. Although one was when he had his lawyer out there. Habib, I think her name was, who had like a Hillary Clinton jacket. I saw a clip of that. But how can you criticize and go after the speakers, condemn them, and then not condemn Trump? You have to condemn Trump. That is the hypocrisy. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy is out there trying to be an apologist for Trump. And he says, oh, George Lopez gave a joke at talking about Mexican Americans being thieves. Well, George Lopez is Mexican. And the joke is sort of pointing at himself. And it is self-deprecating. Now, you can take apart that joke and say, oh, well, George Lopez was a self-hating Mexican American. Or you can say, yeah, it's okay for George Lopez to say that. It doesn't make him hypocritical. But you know what? I'm surprised they didn't have someone say that at Donald Trump's rally, because it would have fit in with the theme of hate that was all over that Madison Square Garden rally. I'm telling you, it's disappointing, because these are the closing arguments for Donald Trump. And the closing arguments or it seems to be, America, please hate better. Hate better. Because, I mean, you look at the first thing out of Donald Trump's mouth. After all these guys went up and did their thing, Trump gets up and says, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" And I got to think, well, 4 years ago, people weren't talking about, oh, there's going to be mass deportations. People weren't talking about how ICE would go in anywhere uninvited, without a warrant, looking to arrest people, round them up and put them in camps. People weren't talking about, all the things that people fear and they're talking about now. Am I better off today than I was 4 years ago? We were talking about a new administration that would come in and clear us of all that hate and division that was brought on by Donald Trump. And now 4 years later, we're talking about bringing back the hate and division. I would say no, we are not. We are not. Well, we are better off if we vote the right way, because we don't need that hate and division. And on Sunday, the hate division was on full display. Yeah, it was kind of scary. And, the next thing is, of course, the garden party, or the garden hate party. The next thing is, well, people are going to feel the fear. You're already talking about some counties, reinforcing polling places because, they sense that there's going to be some intimidation. And, that's the thing. Intimidation is real. Like, I live in the red part of the blue state, so stands to reason I'm going to see more Trump signs. But actually, there is just one Trump sign where I should be seeing 10, right? Why? People don't want to say. I should also be seeing some Harris Walls signs. I see none. Why? People decline to state. They decline, they tampered down or tamped down the enthusiasm because they don't want to cause any trouble. Because people are going to get upset if you let them know how you feel. I mean, that's why people fear violence. And then when you see the big New York Times poll today said 70% of Americans say Donald Trump, if he loses, won't concede. That is a real problem. That is a real problem, I'd say. Poll, I saw him apologizing on cable today, trying to say, hey, look, that was a Trump rally. And what Vivek Ramaswamy was talking about, he wants a national holiday for voting. He wants a single day, paper ballots, and he wants voter ID. And then he said, tell me why voter ID is such a bad thing. I'll tell you why voter ID is such a bad thing. It's such a bad thing because when it comes to democracy, we don't need barriers to vote. We need to let citizens know they are enabled. We want their vote, and we don't want to create obstacles to keep them from voting. That's why vote. There are other ways to identify. There's other ways to get at what you're trying to do with voter ID. Other ways to say, oh, this is not the real person voting. Other ways to sniff that out. You don't have to show up with an ID, and if you don't have an ID, you don't have it. Now, some states do, some states don't. Because there's still a level of trust in some states. But the folks who are calling for voter ID or driver's license ID, it's only being done because the more obstacles they put in the way of people of color to vote, the less likely they will vote. And if you see how in the polls right now, Kamala Harris has an overwhelming majority of black voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters. But in some instances, it's not as high as it was as in the past. Like in when Biden won, or when Obama won, or when Clinton won. And that dwindling number of people of color voting Democratic is concerning, because where are they going? Are they just not voting? Are they sitting out? Because if they're sitting out and not voting, well, that's bad. But if they're voting for the opposition party, if they're voting for Trump, that is not good. Because in a race of the margins, there's your margin of victory in the number of Latino and black males predominantly peeling off and voting for Donald Trump and not for the Democrat Kamala Harris. Now, it's, the polls are, we don't know what's going to happen. No one knows. And people could be lying. I think people are lying. I think if you were a voter and you were undecided and you saw that hate that Trump put out at his rally, I don't know if that resonates with me. I don't know if I say, oh yeah, that's my America. If he's trying to appeal to black males, and they're talking about, Tony Hinchcliffe told a joke about, oh, black males, oh, there's that black male, that guy. Oh, I know that guy, that black guy. We were up late, had a Halloween party. We were carving up a watermelon. Kind of an old racist joke. Is that funny? And you just have to assume, oh, well, Trump approved this joke. I'm Donald Trump. I approve this racist joke. They're eating cats. They're eating dogs. They're eating watermelon. I mean, really, I just think that's one thing you gotta wonder about. Here's the other thing, that Puerto Rican thing. When Tony Hinchcliffe talked about the floating trash island, Puerto Rico, 500,000 voters in Pennsylvania, Puerto Rican. And this is the weird thing about the Puerto Rican voter. Puerto Ricans, if you are naturalized, yeah, you can vote. Yeah, go ahead. You can. Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico, Puerto Ricans who are here who have not been naturalized, second-class citizens. They are colonized. They can't vote, not for president. I mean, that's sort of the way the Philippines was. And yet, look at the ire from Puerto Ricans who heard that joke by Tony Hinchcliffe at the Trump rally. And they said, oh, wait a minute. There's like 5 million Puerto Ricans in the U.S. And they caused this kind of stink in reaction to that, Puerto Rican trash joke. There are 26 million Asian, partially Asian American people in the United States. 26 million. If something were said about them, would you see a stink? I mean, I think he saw something similar, although maybe it was even more important. When Asian Americans were scapegoated for the pandemic. You saw Asian Americans gather together because even though it was China that was said to be the perpetrator, of the pandemic, Wuhan. They didn't go after just Chinese. When it was called the China virus, the people who were attacked when the president put out that call, hey, the China virus, Wuhan, China flu, they went after Filipinos. They went after Thai people. In fact, one of the first people who were killed, murdered, a Thai person, Thai American in San Francisco. So you see the power of this rally, this hate rally, and how it has galvanized Puerto Ricans. Just wonder, would Asian Americans rile up and speak out against? Well, I don't know, how many people do you know have spoken out against Tucker Carlson misidentifying Kamala Harris as, what do you call her? He called her Samoan Malaysian. But this is the world we're in. Donald Trump is bringing you this world. These are his closing arguments of hate and division. Is this your idea of a good democracy? So I guess that is it. I should talk about I talked about my flight. They let us in, or they just delayed us and said, oh, we're fixing a tray. Oh, we're fixing the hydraulics. Okay, when they said the hydraulics after an hour, they should have just got us a new plane. Because why would you risk sending people on a plane with bad hydraulics to go 2,000 miles across country? Why? I mean, it wasn't a full plane, but it was like, 100 people. Why would you send them off knowing that there was some mechanical failure? In fact, you should start looking for a new plane and get these people on their way, because it's late on a Sunday, and who's our advocate? Pete Buttigieg? I mean, I think we are due some kind of recompense for what we've been through. I mean, 4 hours. Anyway, Southwest, when I have to take them, I'll take them. I cross my fingers and hope they're good. But I'll tell you something. They're learning about the middle seat thing, about people putting their stuffed animals on the middle seat because they don't want people to sit in the middle seat. They're finally speaking up and saying, hey, don't do that. People have a right to get any seat they want. But soon those days are going to be over, because they're going to, I guess shortly, sometime, I guess maybe by Christmas, they said, by the end of the year, they're going to go to assigned seating. I don't know if that's going to make a difference with Southwest. But I'll tell you, I think the best airline right now is Alaska Airlines. I think they're the best. But they don't always fly to where I want to go. They don't, but they have the most they seem to have the most non-stops. That's a good thing. The only bad thing is they have those planes that didn't have the door bolts. Okay, what's a few door bolts? What's a few door bolts? All right, I guess that's it. We're gonna call it a day. Thank you for joining me. Hey, laughter yoga. I'm gonna put laughter yoga on the Patreon. I'm still trying to work out how I do the Patreon. I talk in my closet here about the news, just as I would on the talk shows that I did in Washington D.C., Sacramento, San Francisco. But it's not. It's just conversation. But I want you to think about these things, and I want you to go on a Patreon, get the tape, watch the tape. On Patreon, I'll do my laughter yoga. I'm a certified laughter yogi. So Don't mess with me. Black belt. I guess they don't really have black belts, but if they did, I'd be, as a certified laughter yogi, I would be like at least first degree black belt. I can kill with my laugh. Watch out. But let's see. So I'll put that on the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Emil Amok. Sign up. Be a part of this. We're doing this. We're putting out free. And then I think at some point we won't be free. And then we put all the extras on Patreon. So join us for the extras. Join us for that. We're here, try to be here Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock, unless, we're doing something weird like having lunch or having a root canal. I mean, lately I've been having a lot of root canals. I think I've had more root canals than, than in a small Central American country. I mean, I've just had a lot of root canals, and it's troublesome because if you've had, that means you have dying teeth. You got to get rid of your dying teeth. What I've noticed though is that, boy, the dentists aren't. I mean, they're not quite as exalted as we once thought. I mean, everyone needs them, but they're not like in some palace. They're like at the mall, at the strip mall. And what I've noticed is when I go to downtown San Francisco, I've noticed they've tried to cater to a higher class clientele. You can get your haircut at a barbershop, right? But then if you go to a high class tonsorialist, or, they'll pamper you. If you go to a salon, they'll pamper you. They'll put on a cloak. They might offer you white wine. Now, those were the days. They'll offer you white wine so you don't know how crooked your haircut was. But no, I just noticed that they're doing this approach with dentistry. They're saying, "Oh, you'll want to come to our dentistry because we offer massages." When you freak out, oh well, we offer nitrous. Oh, without asking, you get nitrous, and the puff up. I mean, they pamper you. I think that is going in the medical arts, where it really is an art, because they have to cover up the pain that comes in the treatment. Like, some treatments aren't necessarily really feel good. I mean, you feel good after you get treated, you're well. But especially when it comes to a root canal or something, the violent dental arts. Oh my God. They had one guy, he was a recent immigrant from an Eastern European country. I think he was a former Olympic wrestler for an Eastern European country, because he was dressed in his gown, and the surgeon was here, and the guy, the former Olympic wrestler, was on the other side, and he had me in a headlock so that I couldn't move. He said, "Now push against it, and the doctor will yank out your tooth." Oh, thank you. And he got it out first time. I had to hand it to him. I said, "Oh, I've never had a dentist or a surgeon who did that." But I applaud them. It works. So, but now if they had a little, if they're a little more delicate, like maybe, I don't know, maybe a female Russian weightlifter or something, coming out and then putting her arms around my head, and maybe that, I don't know. But they're pampering. That's my point. They're pampering people now. All right. Thank you. Tomorrow, Kamala Harris is at the Ellipse, because you know what happened at the Ellipse on January 6th, 2021. You know what happened. And I think we're going to see reminders of those things, just like the garden party really is a reminder to all of the hate and the litigiousness and the whining of a Donald Trump, of what he would do and what he will do a second go round. I think you just have to remember all the things he did the first go round and said, oh, never again. We got rid of him. Oh, he's coming back. Better. And I don't know if we want that. Think about that. All right, that's it. I give you a little meditation, though, at the end, because, we need a little meditative thing at the end. Metta, M-E-T-T-A. It's love. It's love. Boy, that was one thing that was missing from that Trump rally. Not a lot of love. Not a lot of... And just look at how Donald Trump failed to kiss Melania. Failed to touch her lips. I don't know. Maybe she had cooties. Maybe she... I don't know. They refused to kiss. They were like, oh, we're all European. Peck on the cheek. It was all European kiss time. Lips? Oh, no lips. No lips. Give away our, bedroom secrets. I don't know. That was weird. Check that. If you, can roll back on the news, just see when they get up to meet, they don't kiss. I mean, holding hands, I understand. Maybe, unless they have gloves. I understand not holding hands. But not kissing, I know it's one of the highlights of being in a relationship. You get to kiss. I mean, that's public kissing. That's a thing. That shows love. No public kissing. Oh, there's no love. There's no love there. Anyway, Metta, M-E-T-T-A. This is self-compassion, love for others. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil going in here, Monday Night March, November 4th and 18th. themarsh.org for tickets. Till next